Hello everybody and welcome. This is my 55-gallon aquascaped aquarium. Gonna start off my aquarium tours with this, as this is a big centerpiece in the living room. Had this tank for about a year now. It's doing fantastic. It's had its ups and downs. Overall, I've been very happy with the tank. There's definitely a lot of things I love about it. The scape, I'm still loving the scape. It's still taking shape. If you've seen some of my time-lapse, I did some time-lapse videos of me aquascaping this tank a year ago, and it's come a long way. I've made some changes. Some plants have definitely grown in, especially this huge swords. Actually, there's a pair of sword plants right here that makes up this giant clump. And I think it's fantastic. I just love how all these nanofish swim in and out of the huge leaves. It's really fun to watch. It's been a really fun tank. Stocked with various nanofish. There's a couple bigger fish that for some reason are all over here in the back. There's two ruby tetras in here. I'm pretty sure they're ruby tetras. No, they're out here right in the front. Oh, there's one. There you go. There's only two in here right now. I might add a few more. They're beautiful fish. They contrast really nice with all the greens of the plants. A few otocinclus, some algae eaters, dwarf rainbows, and rice fish make up the majority of what's in here. Really fun tank. Some insanely big plants. But there has been some algae issues. You've probably seen some of the string algae and stuff that's in here. It's kind of been an ongoing battle, but it's definitely getting there. What's really interesting with this tank is you actually get to see how much it's matured over the year, and you really get to see a lot of unique behaviors. These Siamese algae eaters, there's actually 4 of these guys in here, and they spawn all the time, it seems. There's one actually right there in that driftwood. There's a little hole there in the drift, and you can actually see one. And I'll notice their colors will fade when it seems like they're doing spawning behavior. There's another one that just came out of a hole, so maybe they're trying to spawn in this big log, this big driftwood log. I've also seen them spawn back in that big piece up there. It's a really fun tank. I really like the way the flow's coming together. And I really like the idea of putting in these super small fish into a larger aquarium. I think it's really fun. You get to see a lot of unique things you don't get to see when you put these fish in smaller tanks. It also makes the tank feel bigger, and it also makes the slightly bigger fish feel even bigger. It's like the Siamese algae eaters and the ruby tetras are like the biggest fish in this tank. There's also a few shrimp. There's some King Kongs. I don't think they're going to spawn. The water's just too hard in here for them. But they're doing fine. I might move them at some point. Well, if I can move them, I'll try and move them. But there's also some cherries. Or rather, they're a cherry and red really hybrid. But either way, they've been giving some really interesting shrimp, and so I've been letting them do their thing. What's really interesting is actually, maybe you'll be able to see it, but there's these emerald rasboras that hide out in the corners, especially back there in that back left corner. They just dart in and out of the driftwood and the plants, and little things like that makes this tank really come together. This is my 20-gallon long planted aquarium. It's a low tech. There's no CO2 in this one. Had this tank set up I've had this tank for a long time, 2 years or something now. About a year ago, I kind of redid it a bit. I did lose my cardinal tetras that I've had since the very beginning. There was a cross contamination with my 55 at Headache, and somehow it got in here. And my super old cardinal tetras, they didn't make it. Now I have pencilfish and a lone celestial pearl danio. I replaced all the red cherries I had in here with orange reelies, which are fantastic. I really like the orange reelies. I think they're a very underrated shrimp. Really beautiful, very subtly different than the red cherries, and it's a really interesting color, and it's a really interesting piece to the tank. Tank's been doing really good ever since I did the changes. Carpet, dwarf sedge carpet looks fantastic. It's been a really fun tank. I really do like this one. It's definitely going somewhere. I kind of want more of a focal fish in this tank, maybe. I'm thinking about it. Everything in this tank is very subtle. It's all greens and very natural, very, natural color fish. There's nothing really that pops or stands out, which maybe is a good thing. I haven't quite figured out if I want to add anything else to it. I think I'll add a few more celestial pearl danio. There's my lone one right there. I think it'd be a really nice fish to have in this tank, and I'm pretty sure they'd spawn in this tank, and I'm pretty sure the fry could survive. I've seen some other people breed them, and they'd kind of drop the eggs to the bottom, and I think with all of the crypts and the dwarf sedge that I have in this tank, that they do really well. So I kind of do want to try that at some point, maybe. But it's a really fun tank. I love the length, the 20-gallon size. It's a really fun one to work with. So this is my 10-gallon shrimp tank. This tank's been doing really, really good. It's probably one of my favorites, one of my best high-tech tanks going right now, just because the carpet is just stunning. Very simple design, mainly using a lot of driftwood. You can't even see most of the driftwood at this point. This tank's also over a year old. This is probably about a year and a half old at this point. This tank's older than the 55. And the key element of the tank are the shrimp. You have these blue dreams, which are just beautiful, as well as some red crystals. Recently got an RO unit. I'm going to try softening up the water a bit for the crystals. I really want a bunch of crystals in this tank. They do occasionally put off a couple babies here and there, but not compared to the blue dreams. They are doing fantastic. And I love them on the green Monte Carlo carpet that I have here in the front. A lot of people like dwarf baby tears. I really wanted to try out this plant because it seemed like it would be a little bit easier than dwarf baby tears, and it definitely has been. The nice thing about this thing, this plant, is it's really easy to trim. It's just a little bit bigger, and it roots in much better than dwarf baby tears ever did. I had dwarf baby tears in a different tank, and I've enjoyed this plant a lot more. It's so much easier to work with, and it gets the exact same effect. So I did put food in here quite a bit, and the shrimp all just come out of the plants and just start grazing. As far as fish go, I have Phoenix rasboras, which are the slightly red ones, and I do not know what the other ones are. I have no clue. I got them at a fish store. I thought they had them in this really kind of not lit tank alongside other Chile rasboras and stuff, and at the time They look like they could have been like a really doled out Chile Rasbora, at least in that tank. They turned out to definitely not be Chile Rasboras, but they're really fantastic. I really like this little mystery fish. They're really outgoing. They tightly school. They're a lot of fun to watch, and it just adds a nice bit of movement, and it doesn't distract you too much from the shrimp, which are the big focus. This tank's been a lot of fun. I really like the overall flow and the style of the scape, and it really complements the shrimp's behaviors. It's a lot of surface area for the shrimp, while at the same time it still has some really good viewing areas for them. This thing's been a lot of fun. It's still one of my absolute favorites, because it's always changing, even after a year and a half. Alright, this is my new 10-gallon aquascape. This tank's also in need of a water change. This one's getting a water change today. This is a JBJ rimless pedestal tank. This actually sits on it's just a plastic pedestal. Picked this tank up at Reefapalooza, Orlando, a few months ago. I have some Rotala, which is going to be going in that back, which is why it's floating on the top. That was the trimming from my 55. It's been set up for a few weeks. I did time lapse it. That video is going to be coming. I'm going to add some more detail. I'm going to add some mosses and other things like that. And I might change out the lights, because they're just garbage. They're not very good. One of the rows of LEDs, it's already broken. Oh gosh, it's a mess. So the lights are going to be replaced. But I like the overall design of the tank. I think it's fantastic. The filter's a bit simple, but I think once I get all the plants grown in, I think it'll be just fine. Currently in here, there's only a few Blue Dream shrimp for my 10-gallon. I think once they really get established, we get some breeding in here, they're gonna look absolutely stunning. They already look really cool. They kind of blend in with the rocks and the driftwood, but if they get out onto the sand is when they pop. And I think this is going to be a really cool element of design for this tank. Driftwood's still cycling. It's got the fuzzy fungusy stuff on it. That'll just go away with time. It's already a lot better than it was. But it's very simple. Well, I say simple. It's a very simple plant load. Very easy to keep plants. It's just the big focus is on the hardscape, and it will be on the fish. So it's going to be maybe a little bit higher maintenance, since there's not going to be as many plants working for you in this. But at the same time, the maintenance will be a bit easier because you don't have to trim as many of the plants. The big ones are going to be the Rotala. Is going to be potentially the most trimming intensive, and this is going to be low tech. There's no CO2. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching my update and all of my Planet Aquariums. I thank you all for watching. Check out my blog site, link to that will be in the description. I'm going to be working on that a bit more. Getting other posts up there. Yeah, we got some other fun projects coming this summer, so make sure you guys stay tuned, especially if you're into making a lot of big changes with the pond. Quite literally, big changes and deep changes, but I'll let you guys figure that out.